This story has got everybody talking, especially those interested in the future of this specific Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom attraction, an attraction original to Magic Kingdom itself. And the park opened on October 1st, 1971, all those years ago. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the Haunted Mansion. Oh no, we all knew it was coming. Walt Disney World News today. Construction markers materialize in the Haunted Mansion graveyard. Could be demolished for Magic Kingdom expansion. This by Katie Francis, published July 24th. 2025, construction markers have popped up in the queue for Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom, possibly related to the nearby project to demolish the Rivers of America for a new cars themed area. I would say probably, Marvin. Probably. That's what it's all about. We'll break it all down in a moment. Specifically, the markers can be found at the end of the outdoor queue near the entrance to the mansion, lining the edge of the graveyard's woods. The markers are metal poles with orange toppers, and they seem to be delineating a border of some kind. And there is some red spray paint on the ground and foliage connecting the markers, and they run between some of the mansion's famous gravestones. Notably, Disney has previously... Oh, please.
I would point out that it's possible they might be tracking some kind of underground voltage cable or gas line or water main. That is typically what they do for something like that. So it's possible that could also be, they might be doing some underground improvements on some of the power systems. Usually red, or we're seeing orange there. Orange, I'm not quite sure, but red usually means power, yellow usually means gas, and blue usually means water. So
gotcha. Okay. I wasn't actually aware of the color distinction there myself. Some people were actually saying rebar, while the orange toppers there are usually placed on rebar, the metal poles denote something else. And like you said, Marvin, usually it's underground lines. I just didn't know what the distinctions were. Thank you so much for clarifying that for us. Notably, Disney has previously confirmed that a new path will be carved throughout the park that lets guests go from the Haunted Mansion to the Frontierland Cars expansion and the Villain's Land. And it's possible that these markers are indicative of changes coming to the queue to accommodate the new pathway and impending necessary queue changes at the Haunted Mansion itself. It's unknown at this time if the graveyard will need to be altered or removed for the construction. Ugh, that's not good. That would be painful if the graveyard were removed. But, you know, all of this really does buttress up quite closely to the Cars expansion. And so we can assume that there are going to be major changes here. You can see some alternative photos as provided by Save the Magic there. And those look to be red to me. They just might be highlighted in that Florida sun right there. But that's not all. If you're looking to, I don't know, stay in the shade and wait for the Haunted Mansion outside of its famous side entrance right there, you can see from Disney Clip Sky, the construction walls surrounding the Haunted Mansion queue make an already warm queue stagnant and, well, super hotter, but I would say much hotter. Marvin, this is some bad news right here. What's your initial impressions on this specific story?
Well, I mean, you know, you're messing with when you're messing with the Haunted Mansion, that is definitely not a thing that you want to do. It is one of the most iconic, attractions in all of Disney. Some people do call it the perfect Disney attraction. Anything that takes away from that, I mean, this is just ridiculous. Part of when you're standing in line, but also this is going to make it 1,000 times more like humid and disgusting in this line as well. Because you're blocking off the airflow that was coming in from the river. Being able to look out and kind of see the river and Big Thunder Mountain, like that was, and Tom Sawyer Island, that was kind of like, it made waiting in that line a little bit easier. But my goodness, I mean, this is, leave Haunted Mansion alone, stop it, whatever you're doing. Now, look, if the underground thing, if that's just improvements to, underground utilities, that's one thing. I can't imagine that they're going to go as far as to block off sections of the cemetery, but I could be wrong. They routinely shock me with the stupid decisions that they make.
Yeah, I mean, it is shocking to see. You said something very interesting right there. If this is normal improvements, then you do have to disrupt the cemetery to some degree, right? We do believe that this is to facilitate the construction of both Cars and Villain's Land just beyond the Haunted Mansion here. And if it is, it's unfortunate that it would be that disruptive. It's really sad. Also, too, I want to go ahead.
Just wait till Liberty Square becomes Haunted Square. I've been calling it for 2 years now.
Whenever you say that, it is most disheartening. But I can't deny that might actually be the case. And we're going to be seeing some major changes to Liberty Square, at least in the form of, this area that you're actually seeing on screen right now. This one by Reconstruct Haunted Mansion extended queue on New Year's Eve, down a ramp, then up to a normal queue. This is December 31st, 2018. From what I understand, Marvin, the extended queue for Haunted Mansion, when it actually does stretch out this far, is the old Mike Fink keelboat stock, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That is correct.
Well, depending on what they do, and pretty much when I was doing some research into this, it was very evident and clear that this is what they're going to do. But again, plans do change. They're bringing everything up to the walking level, I'll say, for Magic Kingdom. We all know that it's kind of on the second level. It's not necessarily on the ground floor of the Orlando surface there because of that high water table and the utility beneath. But they're bringing everything up to that walking level, that guest level right there. Well, then that Mike Fink keel boat dock and that extended queue right there, well, that goes away. And so the question now becomes, right, where do you put people then? I guess it's just straight back behind the mansion.
I think that what's gonna happen, they're just gonna end up pushing them back into Frontierland, basically, I think. Which is what they tried to avoid doing in the past. They might I honestly think that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna push them all back into Frontierland. It's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be terrible. They're gonna have people all the way back by the Diamond Horseshoe. It's not gonna be good. It's not going to be good. This was also, it's funny. I've been wondering about what they're going to do for Halloween stuff in both Disney and Universal, because that area is typically used as a treat trail location for Mickey's Not So Scary, whereas the area by Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is used for haunted houses for Halloween Horror Nights, and that's all behind construction walls right now. Or that back area was where the entrance was, over by Jimmy Fallon. It's going to be very, very interesting to see, what happens in Halloween this year with all of these changes.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to what the operational changes will be, especially for special events like you were talking about, Marvin, with Mickey's Not So Scary and so forth. I know that they stage a lot of stuff around here, obviously, right? It's the Haunted Mansion. Of course, it has to join in for the festivities in such a spooky season right there, which rightfully so. But now it's like, okay, even if you think, okay, maybe they have this all plotted out for the future, again, that's like, 3-4 years away. We're going to have construction walls buttressed up right against that queue that we just saw footage of right there, provided by Alicia Stella. You're going to have disruptions for the extended queue and so forth. So where are you going to put people in the interim? It's going to get really bad really, really fast. And unfortunately, it's going to be very, very disruptive in a way that the comparison that I always make is, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge being added to Disneyland back in 2016. For 3 years right there, the river was down and the train experienced a lot of changes in order to accommodate for that expansion. But this is a whole different can of worms, because if you remember back at Disneyland, they actually provided dams around the edges of Rivers of America so that at least the front half of it could be retained. This is a whole different animal in that the entire river is going away in order to accommodate for this construction.
Yep. Yeah. And they've done that before too, when they've had to make like improvements onto the track for the riverboat and stuff like that. They have dammed off areas, and that has been, perfectly fine. But here we see the turd wall. I guess they're starting to add some stickers and whatnot to it. But look at this. This is talk about claustrophobia center. And guys, if you suffer from claustrophobia or any other kind of anxiety disorder, good luck, because Walt Disney World is the worst place possible to go in Orlando now if you have any kind of disability, because they want you to pay for Lightning Lane. So the experience is just completely screwed up at this point. Now, have they completely closed off that little walking path that went by the river as well? They kind of allowed you to bypass the foot traffic. It looks like they may have here.
I am unsure on that. I know that Ron has gotten some footage for us.
That was the path right there. So
gotcha. But this is changing every day, folks. So it's kind of hard to keep up, even for people who actually live within a reasonable proximity to the parks, only because it's just, Disney's going to have to make some accommodations for this construction, and that's going to be changing all the time in order to accommodate for all of that. This is really, really sad. We were all predicting that this was going to have substantial changes for the Haunted Mansion itself. It looks like some of those changes are already evident, with more changes on the way. I guess this is I've never actually played this at a better time, but here you go.
There's no turning back now.
Bash, typically when something like this happens, when it's construction walls going up, you say to yourself, you know what? It's going to be worth it in the end. They're adding something new. They're adding something people want. They're adding something exciting. So you've dealt with it in the past, like when Guardians was going up, things like that. You say to yourself, it's going to be perfectly fine in the long run because it's going to be plussing nobody, but they're putting up things nobody wants. And therefore, we have a major problem with the fact that, none of this is going to feel worth it in the end.
It's so sad. It's really, really tragic. Well, I know there have been some in the media who have been given access to some of the virtual, walkthroughs of some of the pathways and so forth. Some people know a little bit more than we do. All I can say is that we're going to be covering the story very, very closely and seeing what actually transpires here in this specific space, because this is very, very important to a huge host of Disney fans and even theme park fans. These are some very, very amazing spaces, whether you're a Disney fan or not. And, we'd like to see them preserved. And hopefully they are to the best of Disney's ability. Ooh.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.